Have you ever walked into a room and thought, why does it feel gross in here? Like the air is heavy, or you sprayed something, or you cooked, or you've just been in the office all day and your brain feels slow. Today, I'm building a DIY air quality sensor that shows me what's going on in real numbers in Home Assistant with a quick at-a-glance status right on the device. And I'm doing it without paying premium smart sensor prices. So this is an always-on air quality monitor for the house. Not battery powered, not turn it on when you remember. It just lives there, watching the air all the time. Why does it matter? Because a lot of air quality stuff is invisible. Dust and smoke are obvious when it's bad. CO2 can creep up in a closed room, and you feel it before you realize why. And sprays, cleaners, aerosols, they can spike things fast. This build is basically a bunch of sensors, one little ESP32 board, and Home Assistant handling the graphs and alerts. And I'm keeping it simple. If you can wire a few I2C devices and flash firmware, you can build this. Let's run through what I'm using and what each part actually does. First up, the brain. The Seed Studio Xiao ESP32C5. It's a tiny board with plenty of power for sensors, and the thing I like about this one is it has dual band Wi-Fi, 2.4 and 5 GHz. So if your 2.4 network is packed, you've got options. Or if you need range, you can stick to 2.4. It's just nice to not be boxed in. And because it's an ESP32C5, you've also got 802.15.4 built in. So down the track, there's room for things like Zigbee or Thread style projects too. I'm not using that in this build, but it's a nice bonus to have in the same tiny board. I'm mounting it on the Seed Duino Xiao expansion board. This is mostly for convenience. It keeps the build clean, easier wiring, easier debugging, and less bench mess. Now sensors. I'm using the Grove Laser PM2.5 sensor, or the HM3301. This gives you particulate readings, typically PM1, PM2.5, and PM10. So dust, smoke, aerosols, cooking particles, that kind of thing. One thing to know with this sensor, it needs about 30 seconds to warm up after power on. So the first readings can be weird, but we'll handle that in software. Next, the Grove Multi-Channel Gas Sensor V2. This one is less about exact numbers, and more about detecting changes in the air. It reacts to different gases and gives you index-style readings. I'll be very clear here, this is not a lab instrument. It's not going to tell you the exact concentration of a specific gas. But it's great at showing change, like when you clean the kitchen, spray fly spray, light a candle, or absolutely destroy the kitchen making dinner. Then for CO2, I'm using the SCD41 CO2 sensor module. This is the ventilation one. If CO2 is climbing in a room, it's usually a sign you need fresh air. And it's one of those numbers that can explain why you feel exhausted, even when the temperature looks fine. At last, I've got a BME 280 for temperature, humidity, and pressure. Yes, the SCD41 can give temperature too, but I still like having a dedicated ambient sensor. It gives a bit more context, humidity is useful, and pressure is a nice extra. That's the core sensor package. I also added LEDs so I can check the status at a glance without opening Home Assistant. They work well, although in this enclosure version, you can still see some of the infill pattern through the print when they light up. Now let's get this on the bench. Most of these sensors are I2C, which is nice because it's basically power, ground, and 2 signal wires. First thing I do is plan the layout, even if it's a temporary build. So the Xiao goes on the expansion board, then I connect each sensor. When you're wiring multiple I2C devices, there are a couple of gotchas. 1. Check your power requirements. Some modules are happy at 3.3 volts. Some prefer 5 volts. Read the module specs and don't guess. 2. Watch out for I2C address conflicts. If 2 devices share the same address and you can't change it, you're going to have a bad time. And 3. Keep your wiring reasonable, unlike mine, which currently looks like a small disaster. If you run long, loose wires, you can get flaky reads. Shorter is usually happier. Now the enclosure. This matters more than people think. These sensors don't measure the whole house, they measure the air that reaches the sensor. If you put it in a dead corner with no airflow, it'll lag. If you hide it behind a monitor, it's basically sampling warm monitor air. If you put it under an AC vent, you'll get readings that look like a lie. So what I'm aiming for is a case with vents so air can move through, no direct blast from a fan or aircon, not right next to an open window where wind messes with it, and not directly next to the source unless you're intentionally measuring that source. I printed the enclosure myself so I can control the airflow and the internal layout. The first version already had the vents, but I had a few measurement issues and some small design tweaks I wanted to make. So I refined the fit, adjusted the layout, and gave the BME 280 its own little compartment to help isolate it from some of the heat in the rest of the build. Heat can mess with temperature readings, and some sensors don't love being baked. Fans can help with consistent sampling, but they add noise, they can collect dust, and I want this to be simple and reliable. I'm not trying to run it on battery, because these sensors work better when they're stable. Gas sensors especially need time to settle properly. And I don't want something that dies without me knowing and I miss hours of bad air. So this is mains powered, always on, and always publishing. Alright, software time. The firmware side is pretty simple. Connect to Wi-Fi, read the sensors on a schedule, handle warm-up and filtering, publish everything over MQTT, and run the LEDs. For this build, it takes sensor readings every 5 seconds, then publishes an updated set of values to MQTT every 30 seconds. So it's sampling often enough to catch changes quickly without hammering Home Assistant with constant updates. Remember that PM sensor warm-up? This is where we handle it. The first 30 seconds or so after boot can be unreliable, so I wait for the sensor to warm up before I start taking readings from it. The other nice thing with the ESP32C5 is the dual-band Wi-Fi. Dual-band Wi-Fi doesn't magically make your sensor better, but it does make placement easier. If 2.4 is congested in your house, you can try 5 GHz. If you need range through walls, 2.4 is usually better. It's just flexibility, and for always-on devices, stable Wi-Fi matters. Now calibration. CO2 sensors like the SCD41 can be very good, but you still want to set them up properly. If you skip calibration and stick it in a weird spot, you might be staring at numbers that don't match reality. And the gas sensor, again, treat it like an index. If it spikes when you spray a cleaner, that's expected. If it slowly drifts over the day, that can also be normal. The way I think about it is this. PM and CO2 are the most solid numbers, while the gas indexes are better for spotting changes or events. Thinking about it that way makes the data a lot easier to work with. Once the data is flowing, Home Assistant is where it all becomes useful. That's where I can see PM readings, CO2, gas trends, temperature, humidity, all in one place, and more importantly, see how they change over time. And for alerts, I don't want notifications going off every time something spikes for a second or two. Air quality changes all the time, especially with things like cooking, cleaning sprays, or just day-to-day movement through the house. So instead, I'd rather trigger alerts when something stays high for a few minutes. That makes it much more practical to live with. Now for the fun part, real-world tests. And I'll say this up front, readings vary by room. They vary by placement. If you're in a different house with different ventilation, you will get different results. That's normal. Here are a few tests I like. Test 1, ventilation CO2. Close the door in a small room and just live normally. Watch CO2 climb, then open a window and watch it drop. It's one of the easiest ways to see why this kind of monitoring matters. Test 2, particles. Cooking is perfect for this. So is vacuuming. So is anything that kicks up dust. You'll see PM jump fast, then settle. Test 3, aerosols, sprays. Spray cleaner, fly spray, deodorant, anything like that. You often see gas indexes spike, and sometimes PM too, depending on the aerosol. That's why I like having both. It helps you see what the air is actually doing instead of just guessing. So the result is an always-on box that tracks particles, CO2, gas changes, and comfort data, and puts it all into Home Assistant where it's easy to monitor properly. And the big win is you're not guessing anymore. If the room feels off, you can check CO2. If something smells strong, you can see a gas spike. If you're cooking and the PM goes wild, you know it's time to ventilate. There's still plenty of room to expand this later. Things like a small screen for live readings, or a light sensor so it can dim itself at night would be easy additions. For this version, I wanted to focus on getting the core sensing and Home Assistant side working well first. If you want to see a version 2 with upgrades, let me know what you want added. So that's the DIY air quality sensor build. It tracks particles, CO2, gas changes, and comfort data, and pushes it all to Home Assistant so I can actually see what the air in the house is doing. From here, I want to refine the thresholds and keep improving the dashboard. If you want to build one yourself, the parts list and code are in the description. See you in the next one.